Have you ever wondered what it feels like to be awkward? Well, let's embark on this intriguing journey together. Awkwardness, a term that might send shivers down your spine, or perhaps make you chuckle a bit. It's that peculiar sensation of discomfort, embarrassment, or confusion in social situations, where you feel like a fish out of water. Why, you might ask, should anyone want to learn about being awkward? Interestingly, the art of being awkward has its own charm. It's a unique way to break away from the norm, to stand out in the crowd, to bring a little unpredictability into the humdrum of life. It's about embracing those cringe-worthy moments with a certain flair and turning them into memorable experiences. This video is your guidebook to the world of awkwardness, a step-by-step instruction manual, if you will, on how to be awkward. Now, you might be thinking, why on earth would I want to be awkward? Well, some of the most creative, talented, and successful people in the world have been awkward. It's about challenging the status quo, breaking the mold, and embracing your uniqueness. Awkwardness isn't about being socially inept or lacking in confidence. On the contrary, it's about having the courage to be different, to be yourself, even when it's uncomfortable or unfamiliar. It's about finding humor in those uncomfortable situations, learning to laugh at yourself, and not taking life too seriously. So, whether you're already a master of awkwardness, or just a beginner in this fascinating realm, this video is for you. We'll be exploring the different aspects of awkwardness, from understanding its essence, to learning how to embrace silence, misinterpret social cues, overcomplicate simple tasks, overthink everything, and much more. So, brace yourself and get ready to dive into the world of awkwardness. Whether you're in for a laugh or looking to add a new skill to your repertoire, we promise this journey will be nothing short of entertaining. Buckle up and let's get started. So, what exactly is awkwardness? Well, let's dive right into it. Awkwardness is not just the tendency to stumble over words or trip over invisible obstacles. It's a complex, multifaceted phenomenon that's deeply rooted in our psychology, social dynamics, and even cultural contexts. At its core, awkwardness is a feeling of discomfort or unease. It's that prickling sensation that makes us want to shrink into our shells or be swallowed by the earth. Psychologically, it's often triggered by a perceived mismatch between our actions and the expectations of others. We feel awkward when we believe we've broken some unwritten social rule, when we're out of sync with the rhythm of a conversation, or when we find ourselves in unfamiliar social territory. Socially, awkwardness can be seen as a natural byproduct of our interactions. As social beings, we're constantly navigating a sea of unspoken rules and subtle cues. Sometimes, we misread the currents and end up making a splash when we had hoped to glide smoothly. It's like dancing with two left feet in a room full of expert dancers. Culturally, awkwardness can stem from the clash of different norms and expectations. What's considered normal in one culture might be seen as awkward in another. For instance, maintaining eye contact is seen as a sign of confidence in some cultures, whereas in others, it could be seen as invasive or disrespectful. Importantly, awkwardness plays a crucial role in our personal and professional relationships. It signals that something is amiss, prompting us to reflect on our actions and adjust our behavior. It's like a social compass, helping us navigate the complex web of human interaction. But it can also act as a barrier, hampering our ability to connect with others if we let it control us. So, awkwardness is not just about being clumsy or tongue-tied. It's a manifestation of our attempts to align ourselves with the social world around us. It's a sign that we're trying, that we're engaged, that we care about fitting in and getting along with others. Awkwardness, as you see, is more than just tripping over your own feet. The first step to being awkward is embracing silence. Now you might be wondering, how can silence, something so simple and unassuming, be a powerful tool in mastering the art of awkwardness? Well, let's delve a little deeper. Silence is often seen as a void, an absence of noise or conversation. But in reality, it's much more than that. It's a canvas, a stage on which the most uncomfortable scenarios can unfold. When used effectively, silence can create an air of uncertainty, discomfort, and yes, awkwardness. Imagine this. You're in a conversation, and suddenly, You stop talking. The words just dry up. You can see the other person starting to squirm, their eyes darting around as they scramble to fill the silence. This, my friends, is the power of silence, the first step in mastering awkwardness. Now, it's not just about being quiet. It's about knowing when to deploy this tactic. When the other person is expecting a response, a comment, a laugh, that's your cue. Instead of giving them what they want, you give them silence. You'll see the confusion wash over their face, the discomfort setting in. But remember, this isn't about making others feel bad. It's about embracing your own unique style of interaction. It's about not conforming to the societal norms of constant chatter and forced small talk. It's about being comfortable in your own skin, even if that skin is a little bit awkward. So how do you do it? Practice. Start small, with brief moments of silence in your daily interactions. As you get more comfortable with it, extend these periods of silence. Watch how others react. Notice the shifts in their behavior, their body language. And one more thing, don't rush to break the silence. Let it linger. Let it fill the room. Let it do its work. Because silence, when used effectively, can be deafening. It can be unsettling. It can be awkward. Remember, silence is golden when it comes to being awkward. The second step to being awkward is misinterpreting social cues. Picture this. You're at a social gathering, surrounded by people chatting and laughing. There's a rhythm to it all, an unspoken code of conduct that everyone seems to naturally understand. Except you, of course, because you're aiming for awkwardness. So how do you intentionally misinterpret social cues? It's quite simple, really. It's about taking the usual patterns of human interaction and flipping them on their head. For instance, consider the universal nod of acknowledgement. It's a subtle, unspoken hello that people exchange. Now, instead of returning the nod, let's say you respond with a vigorous wave or an exaggerated salute. That's bound to raise a few eyebrows and create an awkward moment. Then there's the art of conversation. Most dialogues follow a certain ebb and flow. When someone shares a personal story, the expected response is to empathize or to share a related experience. But what if you respond with a completely unrelated topic? Instead of saying, "I know how you feel, I've been through something similar," imagine saying, "Speaking of that, have you ever tried deep sea diving?" The effects of such misinterpretation on social interactions can be quite interesting. It disrupts the usual patterns, making people pause, second-guess, and stumble. It brings an element of surprise, and let's be honest, a certain level of discomfort. But remember, the goal isn't to embarrass or offend anyone. It's just to create a bit of awkwardness, to stand out from the crowd in a quirky, unique way. It's about embracing the unexpected and the unconventional. So, next time you find yourself in a social situation, experiment with misinterpreting the social cues. Play with the norms and expectations, and don't forget to enjoy the moments of awkward silence and confused expressions that follow. Misinterpreting social cues is a surefire way to ramp up the awkwardness. The third step to being awkward is overcomplicating simple tasks. Now, this is an absolute gem in the realm of awkwardness. It's all about taking the most straightforward tasks and weaving a complex web around them. By doing this, you not only confuse yourself but also those around you, creating a perfect storm of awkwardness. Let's imagine a simple task like making a cup of tea. Most people would just boil the water, add it to a cup with a tea bag, maybe add some milk and sugar, and voila, a cup of tea is ready. But if you're aiming for awkwardness, why not turn this simple task into a scientific experiment? Start by measuring the exact milliliters of water, count the number of tea leaves, time the steeping process down to the second, and don't forget to stir the tea anti-clockwise exactly 17 times for good measure. Before you know it, you've turned a 2-minute task into a 20-minute spectacle, and everyone's wondering why it's taking you so long to make a simple cup of tea, or consider a conversation. Instead of just answering a question, why not go into a lengthy backstory that's barely relevant? If someone asks you how your day was, don't just say good or bad. Instead, give them a minute-by-minute rundown of your day, complete with unnecessary details about your breakfast cereal and the traffic on the way to work. They'll be left scratching their heads, wondering how a simple "how was your day" turned into a full-blown novel. The beauty of overcomplicating simple tasks lies in the fact that it can be applied to virtually anything. From tying your shoelaces to writing an email, there's always a way to make it more complex than it needs to be, and in doing so, create an awkward situation. Remember, the key here is not to make things difficult for yourself. It's about adding unnecessary steps and details to simple tasks, creating confusion and thereby awkwardness. So there you have it, the third step to being awkward. When in doubt, overcomplicate. The fourth step to being awkward is overthinking everything. Let's dive into the labyrinth of our minds, where thought spirals whirl into the abyss of overthinking. It's a place where simple decisions turn into complex conundrums, and a casual conversation transforms into an intricate chess game. This is where awkwardness is born and thrives. Imagine a typical social interaction, like ordering a coffee. Most people would simply ask for their favorite brew, but an overthinker, they're in a whole new league. They'll ponder about the barista's possible reactions, the crowd's judgment, whether to go for a latte or cappuccino, and even the potential impact of their choice on global coffee bean demand. By the time they've run through all these scenarios, their simple coffee order has turned into an awkward, stuttering mess. Overthinking also has a knack for distorting reality. It's like wearing a pair of glasses with twisted lenses. You start seeing problems where there are none, and misinterpretations become the norm. You're perpetually on the edge, expecting the worst outcome from every situation. This heightened sense of anxiety can make even the most commonplace interactions seem awkward and uncomfortable. And let's not forget the emotional toll. Overthinking often leaves you feeling drained, anxious, and insecure. It's like carrying around an invisible weight that slows you down and muddles your thought processes. This constant state of worry and self-doubt can make it difficult to connect with others, leading to more awkward situations. But here's the thing, overthinking isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it's a sign of a highly creative and analytical mind. It's just that when it's left unchecked, it can lead to awkwardness. The trick is to harness this overthinking power and channel it into something productive, like solving complex problems or coming up with innovative ideas. And remember, awkwardness is not a flaw. It's a unique trait that adds a dash of quirkiness to your personality. So embrace your overthinking tendencies, because they make you, well, you. Overthinking is the key to unlocking your inner awkwardness. So what have we learned about being awkward? We've discovered that awkwardness is more than just a fleeting feeling or an uncomfortable moment. It's an art form, a way of life, and sometimes even a strategic choice. We started our journey by understanding what awkwardness really is. We learned that it's not about being disliked or socially inept, but about breaking the norms of social interaction in unique and often surprising ways. We learned that awkwardness can be a source of humor, a way to challenge conformity, and an opportunity to connect with others on a deeper level. Then, we dove into the practical steps to becoming awkward. Our first step was to embrace silence. We all know that silence can be uncomfortable, but as we discussed, it can also be powerful. When we sit with silence, we create space for unexpected moments and make room for our own thoughts and feelings. Our next step was to misinterpret social cues. This is a classic move in the awkward playbook. By intentionally misunderstanding what others are saying or doing, we can disrupt the flow of conversation and create memorable moments of confusion and surprise. We then moved on to overcomplicating simple tasks. Whether it's making a cup of tea or sending an email, we learned that turning a straightforward task into a complex ordeal can be a great way to showcase our awkwardness. It's not about being inefficient, but about seeing the world in a different, more intricate way. Finally, we explored the art of overthinking. We discovered that overthinking isn't just a source of stress, but can also be a tool for creativity and innovation. By questioning everything and considering all possible outcomes, we can generate unique insights and ideas. So why might someone want to be awkward? As we discussed, awkwardness can be a form of self-expression. It can be a way to challenge societal norms, to stand out from the crowd, and to connect with others in a unique and authentic way. However, We must also acknowledge the potential drawbacks of awkwardness. It can lead to misunderstanding, discomfort, and even conflict. It's not a path for everyone, and it requires a certain level of self-awareness and resilience. Despite these challenges, we've seen that awkwardness can also be a source of strength. It can help us to see the world from a different perspective, to challenge our assumptions, and to embrace our own uniqueness. So as we conclude our journey, let's remember that being awkward is more than just a personality trait. It's a choice, a perspective, and a way of life. Remember, awkwardness isn't just a personality trait, it's a lifestyle. Embrace the awkwardness.